What's up, guys? It's your girl Chelsea, the wannabe Hecate. Here today for another episode of Analyzing Celebrity Birth Charts. Today we are talking about LaKeith Stanfield. I honestly have not met anybody who doesn't like LaKeith Stanfield. He's great. It's either you like him or you don't know about him yet. He's really been on a come up the past few years. You probably saw him in Get Out, or if you've watched Atlanta, he's Darius on Atlanta. He also did Knives Out, Uncut Gems, Sorry to Bother You. I wanted to do LaKeith because he is a Leo. He had his birthday earlier in August. So he has Leo Sun, Virgo Moon, and Libra Rising, which makes up his big three. What's really interesting about LaKeith Stanfield's chart is that he has his Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars all in Virgo. So he has what's called a Virgo stellium, which we've discussed before in analyzing celebrity birth charts. Stelliums happen when you have 3 or more planets in the same sign. I think it makes a lot of sense for LaKeith to have a Virgo stellium to go with his Leo sun, because Leos tend to be very showy and they like to receive attention a lot, and LaKeith doesn't really seem that way. He kind of tends to be more subtle and muted, and I think that comes from having a Virgo stellium. And it's also going to come from him having his Mercury and his Venus in retrograde. When you have planets in retrograde when you're born, whatever that planet rules, that energy tends to get turned inward for you instead of getting expressed outward. So Mercury is the planet of communication, while Venus is our loving energy and how we relate to people. So having those planets retrograde is kind of going to make you more introverted, because that energy and the communication and the loving, it's all going inside instead of going outside. I think from what you can observe of LaKeith Stanfield from interviews and like how he is just in general, he kind of seems that way. He seems very subtle and kind of introspective. Obviously, I can't say that this is exact because I don't know him personally, but this is what I can assume just from his birth chart. So we know that Leos are very regal and dignified. They often have very big dreams and plans. LaKeith doesn't seem like your stereotypical Leo sun, but he does still have some of the Leo sun traits that may be a little more underrated. Leos can appear confident and be very showy, like I said, but they also can be humble at times. They have a very strong, noble inner code that they operate by. You have to remember that Leos are the lions, so they have a lot of pride in what they do. They can laze around and be luxurious and lazy, but they also know when it's time to get work done, and they know that they have to work for the luxury that they want, so they're willing to do that work. Leos just have an instinct for getting attention, whether they really want it or not. I think they just kind of have people gravitate towards them. They're kind of magnetic. Overall, they're very witty and generous, and like I said, they take a lot of pride in what they do, so their public image is very important to them. LaKeith has his sun in his 11th house. This is the house of community, friendship, group involvement. This makes him idealistic, very creative, and socially popular. He attracts people to him, like I said. Because this is the house of friendship, people with their sun here tend to benefit through the faith and support of their friends. They also want to treat everyone as equals. They want to avoid any kind of bias or prejudice. They're very fair-minded. It's very easy for them to make friends. When you have your sun here, it makes your social status kind of feel less important to you, because you have more of a it's a we mentality instead of a me mentality. The identity is linked to a unit that's like bigger than you. People with the sun here also tend to be good leaders in these groups. They have very high hopes and goals, because hopes and dreams like that are also ruled by the 11th house. We've talked about aspects before on analyzing celebrity birth charts, and now in my other series that I'm doing where I talk about transits. So one cool aspect that LaKeith has in his chart is Sun conjunct Jupiter. We've talked about conjunctions before, and they happen when planets are in the same sign. So since LaKeith's sun is in Leo, this means that his Jupiter is also in Leo. This makes him very well received. He's generally not competitive or combative. He's just chill. Everybody kind of accepts his presence. These people tend to attract good things with the positive frame of mind they have. They're very good-hearted, and that abundance tends to attract more abundance. They tend to prefer to find the good in situations and the good in people, and they just seem very sincere. That anyone with Sun and Jupiter the same kind of just seems like someone you can trust. They have a nice, genuine nature about them. LaKeith's moon is in Virgo, which is going to give him a very analytical and intellectual mind. Virgo moons are very concerned with security and providing for their old age, which is kind of a theme with the earth signs in general. Virgo moons specifically want to figure out how to use what they learn. They love to discuss ideas and other people's opinions. When it comes to their own opinions, though, they're an earth sign, so they're going to be a little stubborn and they're going to hold fast to those opinions. Virgo moons find security in the little things in life. They love to take care of the details that other people tend to forget. These people are generally very content to live regular, unassuming lives. I think it makes a lot of sense that LaKeith has a Virgo moon since he's so low-key and subtle. Virgo moons can be shy with new people, but they tend to open up once they're comfortable, and I think that LaKeith having a Leo sun to go along with that makes a lot of sense, that he can be that showy kind of Leo once he's with the right kind of people. Virgo is the sign of service, so anyone with a Virgo placement, especially Virgo moon, loves to do things for others. They're all about service. A Virgo moon could also mean that he is skeptical and likes to question things a lot, just because, like I said before, it makes his mind so analytical. His moon is in his 12th house, which is the house of the subconscious and secrets, our past life karma. It's a very enigmatic house. To have your moon here gives you a very creative imagination. It makes you very sensitive and intuitive. The moon rules our emotions in our inner world, and to have it in a very enigmatic house like the 12th house where secrets and dreams lie, it all gets very transcendent, I guess. People with the moon here tend to be more of an observer. They tend to like peace and quiet a lot. They definitely need solitude to recharge themselves emotionally more than others. LaKeith has Libra rising, which gives him a very natural charm and grace, since Libra is the graceful sign of the zodiac. Everybody seems to like Libra rising people. They're very charming. They're also very refined, very neat. They can kind of seem aloof. They have a very easygoing image though. They can be very good at attracting others and persuading them. When they do persuade people, they're almost always going to use like a soft sell approach. Libra is just a very soft and like aesthetic sign. It just makes me think of like pink, floral, graceful things. And like Libra risings are good mediators. They're always keeping things smoothed over, which is kind of a theme for Libra placements in general, since it's the sign of balance and keeping things in harmony. Your rising sign does rule your physical appearance, and Libra is ruled by Venus, which is the planet of beauty. So Libra rising people tend to be attractive. They have very nice bone structure, and they're just very pretty in general, which, yeah. LaKeith has Virgo Mercury, but it is retrograde, as I mentioned before, so we have to remember that all of the Mercury energy is going to be turned inward rather than being expressed outward for him. When Mercury is in Virgo, the mind likes to reason and discuss. Mercury, of course, is how we communicate and how we learn, and Virgo is a very calculating sign. It's all about little details. People with this placement generally need to know all the sides and the facts before they're going to make any kind of decision or answer a question. They have to know everything. They love to keep things in order. They can be a little nitpicky and kind of a perfectionist. They're very quick to learn, very good with memorization, which is probably nice for LaKeith since he's an actor. Mercury Virgo people tend to weigh themselves down because they take on too much work. Virgo tends to be a sign that's about like multitasking, since it's ruled by Mercury, and they take on so much work at the same time that they just burn out. LaKeith's Mercury is in his 11th house, which is the house of community involvement and friendship. This makes him very endlessly curious about new people. He's also very good at adapting to them and making new friends. When Mercury's in the 11th house, the mind is very forward-looking, very fair-minded, treating everyone equally and seeing everyone as themselves pretty much. Very humanitarian kind of mind. Mercury is kind of a mischievous planet, and it has a kind of nervous energy to it. So it being in the 11th house and the 11th house ruling these dreams and hopes and wishes for the future, it can make them change a lot, since Mercury has a kind of changing energy to it and it's so quick. I really hope that makes sense. I like hear things in my head and they make so much sense, and then I try to say them and I'm like, that makes sense. LaKeith's Venus is in Virgo as well, and it is retrograde as well, so we have to remember that the Venus energy is getting turned inward. Virgo Venus people are very refined, very intelligent. They have a usually quiet but witty sense of humor. They're very cautious about falling in love. They are an earth sign. The earth signs definitely need to trust you before they decide that they're going to commit to you, and that can take some time. So when Venus is in Virgo, these people tend to prefer playing it safe in relationships. They definitely want to be certain that you like them before they're even going to make a move. They are very great listeners. They love to know all your little ins and outs because they like to do little things for you. Like I've said before, Virgo is the service sign. So when Venus is here, the way that you express love is through doing acts of service for your loved ones. Especially like the little things that they don't think that you'll think of it because it's so small, but like Virgo Venus people pay attention like that and they will think of it. They may not always show their emotions because they are an earth sign. They can be more reserved in love, but they are very, very devoted to you. LaKeith's Venus is also in his 11th house, the house of friendship and community, this means that the friendship level of his relationships must be genuine in order for him to sustain a romantic interest. Also gives him a successful professional life due to his associations, his relationships, his friendships. I said that before with a different placement of his that he would benefit from his friendships. Since Venus is the sign of relationships and love, and the 11th house is the house of friendships, when Venus resides here, it's said that this person may be drawn to marry a friend or someone that they meet through friends, through like a group or an association. I'm not sure how LaKeith met his partner. LaKeith's Mars is in, you guessed it, Virgo. This makes him a very calculating, determined, prodigious worker. Having your Mars in an earth sign makes you very willing to put in the work. It gives you a determination to see things through. People are also very good at separating themselves from their emotions usually. They have a lot of passion, but they keep it under control and under rein. They're usually very goal-oriented and very practical. If they do seem scattered, it's just because they have so many projects going on at once. They tend to be humble in general. They're very particular about their methods, so as long as you don't mess with that, they're chill. They're perfectionists at heart. They tend to worry and kind of be fretful and like they just don't have purpose if they're not producing something or working towards something. LaKeith's Mars is in his 12th house, which is the house of secrets and subconscious. And Mars is a very aggressive planet, very fiery, and it's about ambition and going after what you want. When it goes into the 12th house, it can get a little confused. The energy is drawn more inward since the 12th house is more about your inner world. So when Mars is here, these people tend to be very private and indirect, but they tend to have very rich dreams and fantasies. Now earlier we were talking about dreams in the 11th house, which are like dreams for your future. But when we talk about dreams in the 12th house, these are like dreams you have when you're sleeping. Mars in 12th house people are very unselfish. They tend to work on the behalf of others more than they work on behalf of themselves. Their daydreaming and fantasizing world is very rich and important to them since that is ruled by the 12th house. And Mars is a very spicy planet, so it's going to bring that spice and tension kind of wherever it goes. Since it is the house of secrets, these people can sometimes keep their feelings kind of secret from the world, having Mars in the house of secrets. LaKeith's Jupiter is in Leo, and Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's said that where it is in your chart shows you where your luckiest breaks are in life and where you prosper and expand your horizons. Expand. I try not to say all the same words too many times in a row, but sometimes I fail. So prosperous areas for a Jupiter Leo are going to be creativity, entertainment. These people are very well suited for theater, for the stage, which makes sense for LaKeith since he's an actor. A Leo Jupiter takes pride in everything they do. They have a lot of charm, a lot of ambition. They're almost predestined to succeed, it seems like, and they do often benefit from influential friends, which seems to be a theme in LaKeith's chart. I don't really know how his friends have played out in his career, but I would assume maybe a little bit. LaKeith's Jupiter is in his 11th house, which is the house of friendship, thus explaining how he might benefit from his friends, since, as I said already, Jupiter's like the lucky planet. Jupiter in 11th house makes him popular with others in general. It helps him know how to deal with people successfully, especially like higher ups. He's very cooperative, very good at organizing other people, and since the 11th house rules your goals, he sees these goals through and he achieves these objectives. LaKeith's Saturn is in Aquarius, and Saturn, of course, is the planet of self-control, discipline. When it's in Aquarius, this gives the person a rational and original mind. It also gives them a talent for dealing with people, since Aquarius is a very humanitarian sign and it's very fair-minded and tolerant. People are generally good at appealing to the masses. They may achieve fame in their lifetime, which, as we've seen, LaKeith already has. They definitely know how to avoid rubbing others the wrong way. They're very serious, very methodical in their approach. They may have a strong need for independence, though, because Aquarius does kind of detach itself in a way emotionally that other signs don't. It's said that wherever Saturn is in your chart is where you may have felt more limited or like you had to work harder in that area of your life. LaKeith's Saturn is in his 4th house, which is the house of childhood, your home, and your family. He has already previously mentioned in interviews that he did have a hard childhood growing up. When Saturn is in the 4th house, though, it does also give a very good sense of organization, and it gives the person a very good ability to accept responsibility. These people achieve their goals in spite of slow progress and hurdles that they have to face, which, as we've seen, LaKeith said that he had faced early in life. When Saturn is in the 4th house, it brings perseverance and patience and stability. I hope you liked this video. It was very fun to talk about LaKeith. I liked his chart a lot. It was very straightforward and very easy to do. With some charts, the challenge can be fun when you look at it and you're like, oh, this doesn't fit at all, so there must be something else somewhere affecting this because I don't see this. This isn't working. But with LaKeith, it was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. And sometimes that's kind of nice to just be able to glance at it and do it and go, I have decided that I want to stick to the seasons and try to do like Leo celebrities during Leo season, and then during Virgo season next month we'll do Virgo celebrities, which I'm excited about. There's a bug in here. We have been dancing this whole video, man. Why won't you leave me alone? He went away. Oh, I got him. He's dead now. Whoopah! If you haven't watched one of these before, this is a whole series I do, and it's super fun. You can find the other videos on my channel. I've done other cool celebrities like Keanu Reeves and Ariana Grande. I love to talk about how the planets behave and the different signs and houses, so looking at celebrity birth charts like this is just a fun little hobby that I have. I hope you liked this video and you'll consider checking out the rest of my content, not just here on YouTube, but also on my Instagram. I'll have all the links and deliciousness and stuff down in the caption. I do $10 birth chart interpretations, tip-based tarot and astrology work. I try to do tarot readings for the signs every week on my Instagram. I didn't plan this outro very well. I'm struggling. I'm off to go eat some pasta and watch fan cams. Love you. Bye.